Welcome to course INTD 1374, Introduction to Interior Design at Wade College, with Professor Medina. In this session, you, as students, will begin to explore Chapter 1, the foundation of design, design thinking, and the elements and principles of design. Since this chapter is a bit long, we will divide it into two parts. Part 1 focuses on design thinking, while Part 2 will focus on the elements and principles of design. All of the material we will be covering today comes straight from our course textbook, Interior Design Fundamentals, 2nd edition by Stephen B. Weber. You should have received your copy during registration or when you picked up your course materials. If not, no worries. Just reach out to your academic advisor so they can help you get one. In the meantime, you can easily follow along with this video presentation. A PDF version of the slides is also available in our Microsoft Teams classroom. Just head to the General folder, open the Files tab, and look for the Presentation folder. The presentation that follows along with this video is named Chapter 1, The Foundation of Design, Part 1. These topics are introduced at the very beginning of the course because they form the backbone of interior design practice. Design thinking provides a creative problem-solving process, while the elements and principles of design gives you as students the visual and conceptual tools to build and communicate their ideas. Together, they establish the foundation needed for every project moving forward. Now, let's begin with Part 1. Let's pause for a moment and ask the big question. What is design? Is it creativity, thinking, imagining, and dreaming up ideas? Is it drawing floor plans, sketching furniture, or shopping for the perfect finishes? Maybe it's picking paint colors, choosing linens, or hanging the right curtains. All of those things can be part of design, but design is also so much more. It's about problem-solving, communication, and finding ways to make spaces both functional and beautiful. I want you to challenge your minds and really think. When you hear the word design, what comes to mind first, and why? While you're already challenging your mind about what comes to mind when you hear the word design, let's add another layer of thought. Ask yourself, how do you actually get from an idea to a finished product? It starts here, a thought in your brain. That spark of creativity where imagination first takes shape. But then, how do you translate that thought? Is it through a quick sketch, a floor plan, or maybe even a digital rendering? And finally, how does that sketch or concept come alive in the real world? What steps, decisions, and processes does it take to move from an idea to a sketch, to a physical space you can walk into and experience? Design isn't just about the end result, it's about the process that gets us there. And the way we move from imagination to reality is through something called design thinking. That's exactly where we're headed next. In the next section, we'll explore what design thinking is, why it matters, and how it helps turn ideas into intentional, well-designed spaces. So, how do we actually get from that spark of an idea to a real, finished space? We do it by design thinking. Design thinking is more than just a buzzword. It's a process. It's a way of approaching challenges with creativity and fresh eyes. At its core, it's about moving beyond, "This is how we've always done it," and asking, what if we tried something new? Here's the big idea. It's a creative problem-solving method that keeps us from getting stuck in old patterns. And why does that matter? Because in design and in life, if we keep reusing the same solutions, we stop moving forward. Design thinking pushes us to create answers that truly fit today's needs. The definition is simple. It's a formal method for solving problems with the goal of making something better. And the key takeaway? It's about keeping an open mind, being willing to explore, and searching for better solutions instead of falling back on habit. Now, before we go further into the process of design thinking itself, we're going to take a brief step back and review some history, because to really understand where design thinking fits, it helps to see how design has evolved over time. Before we dive deeper into the steps of design thinking, let's take a quick journey back in time to see where all of this started. In 1969, Herbert Simon, a Nobel Prize-winning social scientist, outlined how humans make decisions in 3 stages: gather knowledge, find solutions, and then choose the best one. Sound familiar? That's the seed of design thinking starting to form. Jump ahead to 1972, when Robert McKim at Stanford emphasized visual thinking. He believed drawing and sketching weren't just art, they were powerful ways to solve problems creatively. By 1987, Rolf Fast, also at Stanford, took things further. He actually coined the term design thinking and expanded it beyond design alone, making it a recognized process that could apply across many fields. Then in the early 2000s, the famous Stanford D School made design thinking what we know today, breaking it into the five-step process of empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. This framework is now used not only in design, but in business, technology, healthcare, you name it. The key lesson here? The way we process problems, whether visually, verbally, or hands-on, shapes the solutions we come up with. And that's exactly why design thinking is so powerful. Now, let's go over the process of design thinking. According to our textbook, the process is made up of 5 main steps. But you'll notice there's also an important sub-step, iterate, which reminds us that design is never just a straight line. Instead, it's a cycle where we often circle back, especially from testing to ideating, in order to improve. Here's the breakdown. Step 1. Empathize. Start by stepping into the shoes of the people you're designing for. Step 2. Define. Narrow in on the problem you're trying to solve. Step 3. Ideate. Generate as many creative ideas and possibilities as you can. Step 4. Prototype. Bring those ideas to life in a tangible form. Step 5. Test. Try it out, see what works and what doesn't. Sub-step or step 6. Iterate. Go back, refine, and make it stronger based on what you learned. So, while the process is presented as 5 steps, that 6th piece, iteration, is what keeps design fresh, flexible, and effective. In the slides that follow, we'll take a closer look at each of these steps and see how they build on one another to move us from a simple idea to a fully realized design. Take a look at the picture on this slide. Notice how the two people are sitting together, leaning in, making eye contact, and really listening to one another. That's exactly what empathy looks like in action. In design, empathizing with the client means going beyond surface-level wants like, I want this color, or I need a bigger sofa. It's about truly understanding their experiences, struggles, and goals. By building an emotional connection and stepping into their shoes, you're able to see the problem from their perspective. This is so important because the best design solutions don't just look good. They address what users value, what they fear, and what they struggle with. When you immerse yourself in the client's situation, you can create spaces that are not only beautiful, but also genuinely improve their daily lives. The key skill here? Active listening and observation. Empathy means listening deeply, watching closely, and putting yourself fully in the client's shoes. Now that we've talked about empathy, let's move into the next step. Define. Take a look at the picture here. You see a group working together, sorting through sticky notes and ideas. This is a perfect example of what it means to define the problem. It's about organizing thoughts, asking the right questions, and narrowing down all of that information into something clear and focused. Defining the problem is critical because it sets the direction for the entire project. If the problem is misunderstood or misdiagnosed, we risk spending time and energy creating solutions for the wrong issue, or worse, for a problem that doesn't even exist. A well-defined problem becomes like a roadmap. It ensures that every solution we come up with is targeted, meaningful, and aligned with the client's true needs. The key skill here? Critical thinking and clarity. Being able to sift through information, identify the real challenge, and state it clearly is what keeps the design process effective and on track. Now that we've empathized with the client and clearly defined the problem, it's time for the fun part, ideate. Take a look at the picture here. Notice how the team is standing at the board, tossing out ideas, sketching, and pointing at possibilities. This stage is all about brainstorming, bringing creativity to the table and generating as many strong ideas as possible. Ideation is where we ask bold, what if questions and push ourselves to think outside the box. It's not about landing on the perfect idea right away. It's about exploring a wide range of possibilities, even the ones that might feel a little wild at first, because sometimes those out-of-the-box thoughts lead to the most innovative solutions. The key skill here? Creative brainstorming. It's the ability to think differently, generate multiple options, and push beyond the obvious answers. That's what drives fresh, exciting innovation in design. Now we move into one of the most exciting stages, prototype. Take a look at the picture here. Notice how focused the person is, working hands-on to bring an idea into reality. That's exactly what prototyping is about, turning concepts into something tangible you can actually test and experience. This is where ideas move from paper to practice. Prototypes can take many forms: sketches, models, mock-ups, or material studies, but the goal is the same: to see how your idea might work in real life. It's important to remember, this phase isn't about perfection. It's about experimenting, testing, and refining. By trying things out, you can quickly discover what works and what doesn't, saving time, effort, and resources before committing to a final solution. The key skill here? Experimentation. Prototyping is about creating, testing, and refining rough versions of ideas so that solutions are practical, user-focused, and far more likely to succeed. Now we come to the next stage, test. Take a look at the picture here. Notice the focus and precision. This is what testing is all about. It's about carefully trying out ideas, paying attention to the results, and learning from what works and what doesn't. In design, the test phase is where prototypes are brought back to the client or user for feedback. Designers present their ideas, listen closely to the client's reactions, and then refine the design as needed. This back and forth can take time, often bouncing between prototyping and testing, but it's an essential part of creating the right solution. The key skill here? Adaptability. Testing requires being open to feedback, making changes, and continuously improving. That's what ensures the final design isn't just good-looking, but also successful and user-focused.
Finally, let's talk about iterate. Notice the chalkboard on this slide. It literally says, "back to the drawing board." That's exactly what iteration is all about. It's the reminder that design is rarely perfect the first time around. Now, while we've placed this as step 6, it's important to note that iteration isn't actually an official step in the process. The design thinking model has 5 core steps, but iteration acts as a sub-step. It's what happens when you take what you've learned from testing, go back, and make improvements. Iteration might mean returning to brainstorming, refining a prototype, or reworking an idea until it really meets the client's needs. This cycle can happen multiple times, and that's not failure, it's growth. Each round makes the design stronger, more thoughtful, and more successful. The key skill here? Resilience. Iteration is about embracing setbacks, making adjustments, and
covered
pushing
all the steps
forward.
of design thinking.
That's what
Let's pull it all
transforms a good
together with
design
quick
into a
summary.
great one.
Design thinking is a people-centered problem-solving process. It helps designers move beyond old, predictable solutions to create fresh, meaningful results. The process follows clear phases. We empathize with users to understand their needs, define the real problem, ideate by brainstorming creative possibilities, prototype by building models or sketches, test those ideas with users for feedback, and then iterate, refining and improving until the solution really works. The most important takeaway? Failure isn't the end. It's part of the journey. Each cycle of testing, learning, and adjusting only makes the design stronger, more intentional, and more user-focused. With this foundation in place, let's quickly review the key words for Part 1 of Chapter 1. Now that we've walked through the design thinking process, in the next video, we're getting ready to shift gears and move into the principles and elements of design in Chapter 1, Part 2. But before we do that, let's pause for a moment to review some of the key words from Part 1. These are the terms that will keep coming up as we continue through the course, so it's important to make sure they stick. Here they are. Design thinking. A structured, creative problem-solving process that focuses on understanding people's needs and developing innovative solutions through empathy, brainstorming, prototyping, testing, and refining. Empathize, the ability to build an emotional connection with users by understanding their experiences, struggles, and needs, so the design directly addresses the root of their problems. Problem definition, clearly identifying and stating the real problem to be solved. If defined incorrectly, designers risk wasting time solving the wrong issue or one that doesn't exist. Ideate, the brainstorming stage where designers generate many creative ideas and what-if possibilities to develop innovative solutions based on user needs. Prototyping, the process of turning ideas into tangible forms, like sketches, models, or mock-ups, to test how they might work in real life before finalizing a solution. Testing, sharing prototypes with clients or users to gather feedback, refine designs, and ensure the solution truly works for the intended audience. Iterations, the repeated cycles of improving a design by going back to earlier steps, like ideating or prototyping after testing, to refine and strengthen the solution. Failure, not a negative outcome, but part of the design process, Each setback or failed attempt provides valuable feedback that leads to better solutions. So keep these keywords in mind. They're the building blocks of design thinking. With this foundation in place, we're ready to move into the principles and elements of design and see how they shape the creative process even further.
Thank you all for watching. This has been Chapter 1, The Foundation of Design, Design Thinking, Part 1 of 2 with Professor Medina in your INTD 1374, Introduction to Interior Design course here at Wade College. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Just a quick reminder, these videos are designed to be an extra tool for your studying, but they should never replace attending class, where we dive deeper together. And with that, remember, good design doesn't just happen, it's by design. See you next time.